Aparajit, and good morning, everyone. I think some of our speakers aren't here yet. They were sitting outside. Will somebody go and call them in? They were in the waiting area just outside. We might want to bring them in. Good morning to everybody, and obviously we haven't been terribly lucky with the weather, though I suppose the farmers are not objecting, and as far as the air quality is concerned, my guess is that this rain is going to wash some of the impurities out of the air, at least for a little while. We should be, as a result, slightly better off. Yesterday, we got off to a good start. We heard from the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on the Environment, Anand Sharma, who spoke at length about the issues and about the need to build a political consensus to take this forward. We've had a strong buy-in from ORF last night, with the chairman of ORF, Sanjoy Joshi, addressing us as well. As for me, I initiated this roundtable series last year on a more modest level, but with a large number of stakeholders present. And we're delighted that with the partnership of ORF and Air Quality Asia, that we can actually take this forward on a much larger scale and in a much more significant and, I hope, ambitious way. Do come in, Anjali, please. The speakers are welcome to take their seats in the dais, and Aparajit will introduce you afterwards. I'm just saying a few introductory remarks before disappearing for Parliament, but please do come up. The key issues you all understand. We've been hammering away at them for some time, but very clearly it can't be acceptable to any of us Indian citizens that 6 out of the world's 10 most polluted cities happen to be in India, that we have an absolute emergency in terms of the respiratory and other illnesses caused by air pollution, particularly in Delhi, which is arguably amongst the worst of the lot, though I did see a recent study that said that Gwalior was worse. But the fact is that we have an awful lot of Indian towns that are essentially shortening lifespans, affecting the health of individual citizens, reducing therefore their productivity and subtracting from our GDP. So at every angle, whether it's social, human, psychological, economic, this is a national crisis which is not being treated with the urgency it deserves. Every year we'll have a crisis around Diwali in Delhi. Then the newspapers will be full of headlines and facts and figures about particulate matter. The smoke will be there, couple of months of unbreathable air, and then everyone goes away and forgets about it. This is an exercise in trying to ensure we don't forget about it. And that's why the second roundtable seeks to build on some of our earlier work, but also to move very steadily in the direction of creating a national action plan on air quality. We are hoping that today our Minister for the Environment, Dr. Harshvardhan, will in fact come and join us. He has indicated an interest and a willingness to do so. But even if his schedule and what's going on in Parliament doesn't permit it, we know that he is interested in sharing with us the work they're doing in the Environment Ministry. And the Niti Aayog will also be represented because they're producing a report on air quality, which we had at one point even invited them to launch it here, but at the very least they should be able to prefigure most of its conclusions and its broad directions with all of us. So if we can move in a constructive, focused direction, diagnosis is essential for any malady, but we need to move from diagnosis to prescription. And what I think is extremely important is that we head in a constructive direction towards outcomes. We have today a very, very interesting and distinguished group of panelists. Aparajita will introduce them shortly. But the morning session is going to be in the economic costs of pollution, where, as we say here, the recent estimates by the International Energy Agency and WHO have indicated that perhaps as many as almost 1 million deaths, 900,000 deaths, can be attributed to air pollution in India. And these obviously have obvious economic implications. This goes on till about noon, after which there'll be a serious discussion on financing India's low carbon transition. Again, we have experts in that. Then there's a break for lunch. And in the afternoon, we're planning to tackle two important sessions. One is on funding a new era of Indian smart cities and sustainable transport. Smart cities ought to be cities where we can breathe. And That's going to be an important issue. And the final one will be a concluding session where I'll be joined by a former Special Secretary in the Environment Ministry, Mr. J.M. Maskar, to look at the overall approaches we can derive from these discussions, financing solutions, building infrastructure and resources, technology transfer, and anything else that all of you in the course of the day will come up with. So that's the broad agenda for the day. I have to apologize that Parliament calls me away, but my team is well represented here and will be through the day. And they will take detailed notes and tell me what I've missed so that my interventions in the last session are definitely influenced by what you all say here in the course of the day. And with that, let me once again thank you all for braving the elements, coming here and attending this meeting. I'm sure that many of you will find the discussions very rewarding. And I hand you over back to our Master of Ceremonies, Aparajit, to introduce you all and take it forward.